Hey, my name is Brinkley. I am an onboarding account manager here at NewsBreak, and we wanted to share some insight and tips on how to properly get started onto the platform and just how to advertise and overall insight on how we work and our verticals, the demographic, and then some best practices that are going to set you up for success. So, for those of you who do not know, NewsBreak is a mobile news app. We are the #1 most downloaded news app in the US. We have 16 million daily users and then 40 million monthly active users. We also have a newsletter that has 50 million subscribers. And we've been around as a company for about 10, 11 years, I'd say. And then the self-service ad platform launched in 2022. And then the newsletter launched self-service in the platform last year, summer 2024. So a lot of our in-app traffic is performance focused. So a lot of people come to NewsBreak if they're looking for conversions, or we optimize on CPA. And then our newsletter right now optimizes on CPM, CPC, and CPA coming very soon. And we are currently number 3 in terms of retention, just comparing us to other well-known players or bigger traffic sources in the space. In terms of active users, we are number 4. And we are a local news app, so what happens when you download the app is that we ask for your zip code. If you want notifications, you get notified of what's happening in your area locally. So it's kind of like a citizens app, or you can know about like crimes, events, just news, things are going on around you, both locally as well as nationwide. So you can see here some bigger names in terms of publishers, but we work with 97% of all the news content in the US. So we have all of that type of news content aggregated within our app, and that's where your ads are going to be paired with. NewsBreak is a very engineering-focused company. About 80% of our employees are engineers that specialize in AI, machine learning, and content recommendation. So what we're doing is we understand the user behaviors of people who have the app, the types of articles that they're reading, and then we continue to serve them articles that we know that they're going to enjoy, as well as ads that we know that they're going to convert on. So the algorithm is very smart. Recommend to just run as broad as possible and let the algorithm do its thing, and we'll talk about targeting and just a little bit more about our unlimited strategy later on. In terms of just users, our demographic is slightly older, so 45 plus and older in just comparison to maybe social platforms. We are a native traffic source. 85% of our audience are 45 plus, and they are majority homeowners too, and then they skew slightly female. So when thinking about our typical demographic, think of the like moms, parents, grandparents who just really care about their health, their finances, and buying things for themselves and their families. We have here listed some of our trending industries, but I would definitely recommend just experimenting and then doing maybe verticals that are not necessarily on our trending industries because they have less competition. So always encouraging testing any type of product or offer that you think would resonate well with this type of demographic. But historically, we see a lot of weight loss, health type of offers, pain relief, blood sugar, diabetes, things of that nature, retirement. People really care about their finances, money, wealth management, debt, insurance, auto, life, Medicare, ACA. And then, like I mentioned before, a lot of our audience are homeowners, so we do see a lot of home insurance in addition to home services, home improvement type of campaigns, so roofing, bathroom remodel, windows, gutters, and that type of stuff. And e-com, kitchen appliances, everyday wear, listicles, gadgets, and then we even seen some recent success with the legal vertical in addition to mobile and gaming. And we run an unlimited native strategy. So I briefly mentioned this before. Unlimited just means broad. So we have a unlimited placement strategy where we are going to run and test in all of the different placements that we have. When you're setting up your campaign, you won't notice any placement option because we're taking care of that on the back end for you. So we test our different placements and then we continue to run in the ones that perform the very best for you with the lowest CPA and just going to optimize for performance. and so you don't have to. So it's very simple setup. Targeting, you select unlimited at every single category at the targeting level, and that just essentially means broad. So our audience is 45 plus. We would recommend just keeping broad no matter what your audience is, and our system is going to find those users that are going to convert. And then here are bidding strategies. So we have 4. Target CPA and max conversions are what are going to be available to you right away. Target ROAS and max conversion value are a little bit newer, and they don't populate unless you have some conversion data on your account, which is 20 conversions to be specific, and then you do need to have set up a complete payment event type when you're setting up your event tracking with event value passed back in order for target ROAS and max conversion value to populate later on. Today, we're just going to go over target CPA and max conversions because that's more of the onboarding stage, because these are what populate first. I would recommend testing both and finding a blend of both strategies, because target CPA is very performance focused, while max conversions is very good for getting learning data, identifying a CPA, in addition to scaling. Target CPA, we usually recommend having a starting budget of 10 times whatever your CPA goal is, and we're going to try to hit your goal over a 7-day average. So recommend to look at the past 7-day or 7-day total CPA performance to just gauge your optimizations and gauge overall performance, because our system is optimizing for the 7-day average. And if we don't hit your CPA goal over the past 7 days, you'll notice that campaign won't spend in full, so it'll gradually decrease spend, because we have a safety net feature on this strategy, which a lot of our advertisers really like, because it's not going to burn through all of your budget if we're not hitting your goal and if performance is not positive for you. Max conversions, on the other hand, we recommend a slightly lower daily budget, maybe 5 to 10 times your CPA goal, and we're going to try to spend your budget in full while getting you as many conversions as possible at the lowest CPA. And max conversions is really great if you have flexibility in your CPA. Maybe you're unsure what your CPA is, or you just want to get out of the learning phase quick. And then, as I mentioned before, it's also really great for scaling. So we recommend having 1 campaign and then 2 ad sets to start, maybe to test out each of the bidding strategies, target CPA and max conversions. And you can also switch back and forth between the 2 bidding strategies to find scale and performance. So, for example, you can start off with max conversions, get out of the learning phase. If you notice that CPA is a little bit high, you can just switch that ad set to target CPA to help lower your bid, and then switch it back to max conversions afterwards to help scale. And these are the placements, just in case you don't have the app. So I mentioned we are a US only mobile news app, and if you are not in the US and you are not able to download the app, this slide is super helpful just to kind of inform you on what the placements look like. So we have in-app, we have an in-article placement in the related section and the end of an article. Then we have this one video placement, which is really great. A lot of UGC style videos tend to go into this placement, and a lot of people who run on social platforms are easily transfer their UGC style videos to this placement. As long as it resonates with our audience 45 plus and you think would be a good fit, I definitely encourage testing videos because they do have a higher CTR and CVR. We would recommend testing both images and videos because I think that they both do really well. We always encourage testing, but specifically the 9:16 vertical video and then the 16:9 horizontal image perform the best. And then lastly, I wanted to share this state and city macros that we have at the ad level. So once you are putting your ad together at the last step, it's going to give you the option to add these state or city macros that dynamically change based off of where the user is located. So if you want to target the entire US, but you want to make the ad more locally relevant to engage people in specific cities or states, this is going to have a less ad feel and it's going to be more native style, and it's also going to drive higher CTR, so definitely encourage testing these. But when you do test creatives, make sure that you have 3 ads within each ad set. So 1 campaign, 2 ad sets, like I mentioned before, and then about 3 to 5 creative per each ad.
For anyone new, this is what our platform looked like. Um, so you can look up your organizations here. And after you look up the organization, you will be able to find all of your ad account on this tab. I recommend to split your ad account up. So if you're running multiple different products or multiple different offers, make sure you're running one product or one offer per ad account. So you don't want to be mixing different product within the ad account. This definitely interferes with the learning. So it doesn't give you the optimal performance. And one thing I do want to point out as well is when you're looking at when you're setting up the ad account, make sure the industry that you put on the ad account level is accurate and it is related to something you're going to be running within that ad account. Just because our model also look at these signals while it's optimizing. So this is my demo account. Once you click into each individual account, you'll be able to see the 3 levels, which is campaign, ad set, and ads. I have a few example campaigns here for us to look at. There's 3 main categories running on our platform right now. There's search arbitrage, e-commerce, and lead gen. So they have pretty similar optimization strategies, but each one has kind of a little difference within them, kind of like, for example, the budget and stuff like that. So for today's sake, I will be using the e-commerce campaign as an example, but I'll also, as I go through each section, I'll also give, optimization recommendations on like search or lead gen, like how you should set those up. On the campaign level, there's not much. Most of us just choose website conversion. But once we click into it on the ad set level, this is where most of the targeting and setup happens. First of all, we want to make sure that we did set up our tracking correctly. For TCPA and max conversion, I recommend to just use the regular, you can do like complete purchase for your e-commerce lead gen offers. I usually recommend to do complete form. And then for search, I usually recommend to do click button. So those are kind of the tracking events that work best for each offer. Moving over to the targeting or demographic, I would highly recommend to, especially in the initial phase, to keep everything as unlimited and try not to set up any specific age, gender, or language or location restraints, just because during the learning phase, our model is trying different things. It's trying different age group, gender, languages, and it's also trying different placement at the same time. So during this learning phase is when our model try to figure out what kind of user group convert the best for your offer. So it'll automatically start to run more towards that group. So it's very simple. Our platform is very simple. You don't have to do much. You basically let it run unlimited, and our model will automatically optimize it for you. Moving over here, we have our schedule. You can choose your day parting schedule here as well. I don't usually recommend setting a day parting schedule for search. I know lead generation, it's more common. For example, if the call center is not open, you will have to cap it. But for e-commerce and search arbitrage, I don't usually recommend to set up a specific time just because our model also will be running and more and during a peak hour for your offer. So it'll find out what specific time period convert the best and it'll run more towards that time. In terms of budget, I usually recommend to set for target CPA, I recommend to set at least 5 times your CPA goal as your budget. target CPA at least 10 times your CPA goal as your budget. And then if you're using max conversion, recommend to set at least 5 times the CPA goal as your budget. The reason being max conversion is a little bit more aggressive, so we want to set a slightly lower budget to start it off with. However, on the target CPA side, you can set a higher budget because if it's not hitting your goal, it will automatically slow down the spending, so it won't spend the full amount of your budget. And then with target ROAS, I would recommend to follow the same rule as your target CPA, so 10 times the CPA goal when you're testing target ROAS. We do have budget for a specific time period. This is very beneficial for e-commerce and search offers to run on the weekend, mostly because on the weekend, a lot of lead generations are not running. So this is also the time when competition is slightly lower, which is why we recommend to increase your budget for those 2 days. You usually will see pretty good performance in those 2 days. Over here, you'll be able to see the optimization goal. As you can see, this is new. So conversion value is when you're trying to run target ROAS bidding method. And then TCP and max conversion will both be under conversion. When you're trying to run conversion value or target ROAS, make sure when you're setting up the tracking, you're returning complete payment event value. And our model this is usually grayed out for you in the beginning. Once you get at least 20 conversions while using the complete payment tracking and also returning the value to us, this will automatically light up for you to use. Just because we want to make sure we have sufficient data before we allow you to run target ROAS to ensure best performance when you're using it. Over here, you're able to set your bit rate for target CPA, and as you can see, when you go to max conversion, there's no bit rate for you to set. Target CPA, the lowest bit rate you're able to set is 50 cents. So if you're running any search arbitrage like AFD, this could be a little too high. So all of the search arbitrage AFD tend to be using max conversion. I do usually recommend to do as fast as possible while on TCPA, just because we tend to see better performance there. It's pacing a little quicker. TCPA tend to be more conservative and slow, so this helped kind of even it out. And frequency cap is also very important. If you're not already using frequency cap, highly recommend we use it if you see that your CPA is too high. This is a great way to help lower your CPA as well. My recommendation is to set it at 1 or 2 impressions per day. In terms of creatives, right now on our platform, I would say any static or GIFs images, we usually recommend to upload them in the horizontal format. Those will usually go into our in-feed, in-article placements and tend to have better performance there. If you have video creative that you want to use, recommend to upload them in the vertical format, and that will run more in our immersive placement. So it's kind of like the scrolling. And if you haven't downloaded our app already, feel free to download it and take a look at what's currently running on our platform. It's also a great way for you to kind of look at different placement our ads run in. But yeah, general rule of thumb, if you're doing images or GIFs, recommend to upload them in horizontal format. Videos, recommend to upload them in vertical format. And in terms of creative type, definitely something that's more native. I recommend to have something that kind of blends more into, the page. So it can look more like an educational article image, but we want to also be mindful that we're not using, like breaking news and keywords like that. But yeah, anything that's more native tend to work better. Less of kind of a specific product shot or like more like, what you see on Amazon where it's like a specific like e-commerce product shot. I personally don't see those perform as well as the native ones. I'll quickly go over the ads tab as well for us to take a look at. These are not images that's currently on our platform. I just found these images online to use as an example. But it does reflect what's currently running well on our platform. So currently we have a lot of e-commerce related products like e-com gadget, listicles, like small heaters. We also see people running a lot of like just a small gadget like Bluetooth headphones, seat cushions, stuff like that. And those tend to work very well. Running majority on videos as well, 9 by 16 videos. But when you're running, I do recommend you to test both. Test out both images and videos and don't solely focus them on videos. And I want to also quickly go over the best structure that we want to use when we're uploading campaigns. So usually I recommend to do one campaign per offer for per product. You start off with one campaign. Within that campaign, I recommend to do two ad sets. For lead gen or e-commerce, feel free to start with one target CPA and one max conversion ad set to test both bidding strategy out and see which one performed better. And when you're testing ads, please do not duplicate it or upload any ads that are exactly the same, just because ads that are duplicates of each other or looks very, very similar tend to compete against each other, which will drive the cost up. So we don't want to do that. We want to test out images of different angles, images that look very different. And once you're at the optimization stage where you find a winning ad, that's when you go to the ad tab. You can look at the last 7 days data because our platform has a 7 day look back window. You look at the last 7 days data and you kind of look through the CPA. If CPA on certain ads are too high, I recommend to turn those off. So you're left with only the top performing ads running within each ad set. I also do highly recommend that when you're running, images and videos within one ad account, or within one campaign to separate them on ad set level. So horizontal image should be its own ad set, vertical image should be its own ad set, and then so on and so forth. The same thing with videos. Horizontal video should be its own ad set, and vertical video should be its own ad set. This is to help our model learn a little better because you're running the same format within that ad set so that it's able to help optimize that ad set a little better. So we want to make sure we're doing that. These not following this could result in, because we have different placement we want to run at, so it could result in a worse performance. So want to have you guys keep this in mind. And then let's see. When we're running, the ads on e-commerce or lead gen, we want to run things that are a little more native. So things like these ones tend to be a little more native. Um, and then for search, I want to also make sure we know that when we're running on the brand name, I want to make sure you guys are able to go through the compliance very smoothly. So make sure when you're running search, brand name, to include any keyword that's related to search. So it could be like apartment in San Francisco, or apartment search, or search apartment near you, or find apartment near you. Any keyword that are like search or find, that will be great to include in the brand name. That not only helps, compliance to go through your ads more smoothly, but it also actually have proven that it increases conversion rate as well. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it on the campaign ad set and ad level in terms of tips and guides.